Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Divine and if this is your first time here, you are welcome to Styles by Andre. Also, if you're a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you for stopping by once again. So in today's tutorial, I'll be showing us how to go about the drafting of a notched collar blazer. So if this is something you're interested in, kindly watch this video to the end. Don't forget to like, share and also subscribe to the channel. Thank you. So starting from the top of my paper, I'm going to be coming down with 1.5 inches. I'll draw out a straight line before I start taking my body measurement. Now the chest line I'm working with is 7.5 inches, but I'll be adding half inch to this because I want the blazer to be a little bit loose. So I'm marking a chest line of 8 inches, my half length of 15.5 inches. And from my half length, I'm going to be marking my hip line of 7.5 inches. After which I'll be marking our blazer's full length of 25 inches. So this is for our back draft. We're drafting the back pattern first. So the full length is 25 inches. I'll mark that out. Then draw a straight line. So I'll label these lines my chest line, my half length, hip line, and the full length of my blazer. Next, I'm going to be marking my shoulder measurements divided by 2. I'll mark that on my shoulder line and also on my chest line, 7.25. I'll connect the 2 points together. Then after which, I'll be marking my bust measurement now divided by 4. I'll mark that on my chest line, plus 1 inch for ease. So this blazer is not going to be too fitted. You need to add a little bit of ease to it. Then on my center back, I'm going to go in with ½ inch to eliminate excesses at that part. So there's no zipper here, but it will help to eliminate excesses there. I'll connect that ½ inch to my shoulder line and I'll connect it to my hip line on the lower part. After which I'll mark my round body measurement divided by 4, plus 1 inch for the back dart, plus 1 inch for ease. So we added the ease to the chest, to the bust measurement on the chest line, and we added the ease to our half length, and we also add the ease to our hip. So our hip divided by 4 plus 1 inch ease. So you can also add 1.5 inches ease for the hip area. Then whatever I have on my hip line, I'll mark the same on the full length of my blazer. Then I'll connect the points together. So this is what I'm having. Next, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple measurements at the back for my back dart, and I'm marking it after my ½ inch tightening there. Then I'll go up with 5 inches and come down with 5 inches for the length of my dart. So I'll draw a straight line. Then on the half length line, I'll mark ½ inch on both sides of the nipple to nipple line. Then connect it to touch the 5 inches we went up with. So this is how we get the dart for the back. So this is what we're having. Next, I'm going to measure what I have on this armhole line here. I'll get the midpoint, then connect that midpoint to my bust measurement. So this is our armhole curve. Then I'm going to mark my basic neck width of 3 inches. I'll go up with 1 inch from that 3 inches. Then connect the tip of that 1 inch to touch our shoulder tip. And from that shoulder tip, I'm going to extend my hand out. I'll extend it out because the shoulders of our blazer is extended. Then from that shoulder tip now, I'm going to be marking 1.5 inches. I'll be connecting that 1.5 inches point to the midpoint on the armhole line, like so. So you can extend your shoulder with 1.5 inches, you can extend with 1 inch, you can extend with 2 inches and so on. But I'll be extending with 1.5 inches because we are going to be adding shoulder pads to this blazer. Then next, for the neck depth, I'll be using 1 inch for the neck depth. So from the 1 inch I went up with, I'll be coming down with 1 inch, and that 1 inch is on our shoulder line. So this is our neckline for the back. So for the dart at the back, we can decide to make it a princess dart or a shoulder dart. And for the shoulder dart, we can measure all we have on our shoulder slope and divide it by 2. Then get the midpoint. Then from the midpoint, we can connect it to touch the tip of our dart like so. So I'll use dotted lines to represent this. We can decide to make our blazer this way, or we can also decide to make it a princess dart. So from the mid armhole, we can connect it to the dart tip. So we can also use this for the back of our blazer. So what I'll be using now is I'll be dividing the shoulder slope, excluding the extra 1.5 inches. So from the shoulder tip to the neck width, can also divide just that. And we can also divide all the way to the extension. So whichever works for you, you can decide to use that. But whatever we have at the back is what we'll be doing at the front. So I'm going to be working with this. Then I extended my dart line all the way to the hem of my blazer so I can cut out. Now for the front block, I'm going to be marking 4 inches inwards. I'll get a straight line. This is going to be our center front. Then I'll be coming down with about 7 inches. I'll draw it all the way to the end. I'll get a straight line. So from this 7 inches now, I'll start taking my measurement. I'll be taking my chest line of 8 inches. I'll take my nipple point apex of 10 inches. My half length of 15.5 inches. Then I'll get a straight line. After which I'll mark my hip line of 7.5 inches from my half length. I'll draw out a straight line. Then I'll get the blazer full length of 25 inches. Then I'll label the lines, the chest line, the apex, the half length, hip line, and full length of our blazer. Next, I'm going to be marking our shoulder measurement divided by 2. I'll mark that on the shoulder line and also on the chest line. I'll get a straight line connecting the 2 points together. After which, I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch for our shoulder slope. I'll measure what I have left on that line, get the midpoint, and from that midpoint I'll go inwards with ½ inch. Then on my chest line now, I'll mark my bust measurement divided by 4. I'll mark that on my chest line plus 1 inch for ease, just like we did for the back pattern. So I'll be connecting the bust point now to the midpoint to the tip of our shoulder. Okay, so this is it. Next, on the half length now, I'm going to be marking our round body measurements divided by 4 plus 1 inch for the front dart plus 1 inch for ease. Then on my hip line, I'll mark my hip measurements divided by 4 plus 1 inch for ease. So I said we can add 1.5 inches to this, or 1 inch. I'll connect all the points together. Okay, so this is it. What I'll do next now is to mark my nipple to nipple point, which is 3.5 inches. I'll go up with 5 inches from the half length and come down with 5 inches from the half length to get a straight line. Then on the half length, on both sides of this line, I'll be marking ½ inch on both sides. Then I'll draw it to touch the tip of the dart legs. Okay, so this is it for the front dart. Now for the neck width, I'm marking our neck width of 3 inches. and a depth of 3 inches. Then I'll connect these 2 points together. Now for our blazer, we're not supposed to make the front neck too curvy. So we're going to reduce the curve of the front neckline. So we'll make sure it's not as curvy as the normal neckline should be. We're going to reduce the curve. So this is what I'm having. So if I was to mark the normal curve, this is how it's going to be. You can see, but I'm not working with the normal curve. We need to reduce the curve of the neckline at the front. It should not be as the standard curve of our neckline. So we should reduce it. And after that, I'm going to be marking our shoulder slope. I'll connect from the tip of the neckline to the 1 inch slope. Then extend my hand out like we did for the back. Now from the shoulder tip, I'm going to mark 1.5 inches again and connect it to the midpoint of our armhole. So this is for the shoulder extension of our blazer. So I'm going to determine where we want our button to start from, and I'm going to mark 1.5 inches above my half length. That's where I want my button to be. So you determine where you want your button to start. And from the center line there, I will go out with 1 inch. So our button overlap is 1 inch. Mark 1 inch all the way. So this is where my button is going to start. I'll mark down 1 inch. I'll connect it like so. So this is our button overlap. Then I'll be connecting this tip here to touch the neck width. The tip of our button overlap, I'll be connecting it to touch our neck width. After that, I will extend my hands out also from the shoulder line, following the same straight line I have from the button overlap to the neck width. I'll just extend my hand out. So this is where we can get our collar. So for the lapel, the length of our lapel is going to be 4 inches, and I'm marking that 4 inches from this straight line to pass through the neck depth and mark my 4 inches. So this is my 4 inches. This is 4 inches. Then I'll be connecting the tip of this 4 inches now to touch our button overlap like so. So you can see what we're having. So this is our lapel here. Now for the collar, we need to measure the neckline of our back pattern. So we'll take our tape and carefully measure what we are having for our back pattern. We need it to get the front pattern. I'm having 3.5 inches. So from the shoulder line, I'm going to mark 3.5 inches upwards. From this shoulder line, I'll mark 3.5 inches upwards. And from that point there, the 3.5 inches point, I'll go inwards with 0.5 inches so we can get a slight curve at that area. This is to help our collar relax very well on the neckline. So I'll go inward with 0.5 inch, then I'll get a straight line. So this line should not be straight, just like an angle 45 degrees or so. You make sure it's not straight if your hand is like out of it. Then I'm going to mark our collar, the length we want for our collar to be, and I'll be marking 3.5 inches. So I'll just erase this straight line here so we don't have multiple lines. So from this tip here, I'm going to mark 3.5 inches for our collar. I'll connect that 3.5 inches now to touch this lapel, but before that I'll go up from this point with 0.75 inches. Then I'll go inwards on the lapel with 1.5 inches. I'll connect that 0.75 point to the 1.5 inches I went in with. This is to get our notch. So I'll then be connecting that 0.5 inches point to touch the collar width of 3.5 inches. So this part here is where our notch is going to be. We're going to take note of that part. So when we are sewing, when we see the two notch on the collar and on the lapel, we know where our notch is. So this is our collar, this is our lapel, this is our button overlap. So now I'm also going to decide where our dart is going to be, and I said what we have for the back is what we're going to have for the front. So I'll measure what I have from the neck width to the shoulder tip, I'll divide it by 2, just like we did for the back. Then I'll connect it to touch the tip of our dart. So this is it. So this is our side front, this is the middle, this is the center front, this is the middle, this is the middle. And we're going to be cutting this. So we're going to have 2 pieces at the front, 2 pattern pieces at the front. Then on this side, I'm just going to form a curve. I don't want the blazer to be straight at that point. You can make yours straight, and you can also curve it. So this is the curve. I'm just going to extend that line, and that's it for the front pattern. For the back pattern, I'm also going to be having 2 pieces. This is my center back, my side back, and the middle to middle. So I'm going to cut out. And please watch how I'm going about the cutting of this pattern. It is very important. I'll cut it out, cut out the neckline, cut out the excess at the back, the tightening at the back. Then I'm going to cut out my darts. So this is it for our back pattern. We're having 2 pieces at the back. Now for the front, I'll cut it this way also. You can see how I'm cutting our lapel. Our lapel is cut together with the blazer. Then I'll cut out the collar. At that point I highlighted there, we're going to notch it. Even when we're cutting our fabric, we're going to notch it. It is very important. So after cutting out, this is what I'm having. So when we're sewing and we get to those 2 notch points, we know that is where the notch is supposed to be. So this is it for my front pattern and my back pattern. In the next video, I will show us how to go about the sewing of this blazer jacket. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.